If you look at the agenda for tonight, we've got quite a lot to go through, but we have got some amazing opportunities for learners this year, and there's a wide variety. So we'll go through them as quickly as we can, and then invite you to attend some of the tables afterwards to ask any questions that you have. We've taken last year's experiences very seriously, and we've put a lot of thought and effort into making this year's options obviously more user-friendly and for it to be a good experience for everyone involved. We've obviously taken all feedback from all the stakeholders, parents, learners, teachers, tour providers. We have listened, and again, we can only try to make every opportunity to make these things better for everyone. Going forward, we've made a couple of changes for this year. We have taken the group size into account. We felt last year that some of the group sizes were a little big and a little bit difficult to manage. So we have limited groups to 30 learners per trip. But because we've done so, we've had to provide more options for them. So when you look at the website, we have, give or take, 30 trips on offer this year. So logistically, it's a heavy load, but we want to provide options for everyone. Communication is something that I felt could be better this year, and we missed a couple of things last year. So this year I'm striving to have all communication come from me, or from my office at least, so that I don't miss anything. I know all the expectations from all the different tour providers. I can communicate that clearly with parents, with learners, from the visas to the expectations of learners. We'll get into those expectations in a little bit. One of the big questions, I've opened up the question form not even 2 weeks ago, and the most prominent question deals with the price and the costing of trips, and we have obviously taken that into account, and we've chatted to corporate, and we want to relay the message that we acknowledge that cost is a serious decision maker for many families. But from a DAA perspective, we want you to understand that we go through companies that are approved by GEMS. We meet with those companies and they present us with their trips and the options that they have, and we tell them which ones we like, and then we take those and we take them back to GEMS and we take them to their procurement office, and they take their time to go through the trips and to analyse and do their due diligence and come back to us and say that we can obviously go with the trips. So we obviously also value the safety and care of every learner that comes on any of our trips. So when we choose our providers, that is the most important aspect that we look at before confirming trips, and we look at their history of trips, and the success rates obviously is hugely important. And again, a lot of parents come back to us and say that why are the prices so high, and I don't have an answer for you for that. But it's something that we are addressing, and I will continue to try and find better options for everyone. And again, I've tried to cater for the needs of most people. I've got two different sort of elements to overseas trips. I've got local options, I've got stay at school options. And again, there's a lot of excitement this year from learners, from teachers, from a couple of parents that I've spoken to. So again, let me invite you to hear what the tour providers have to say tonight, and give you the opportunity to chat to your children and make a decision, and then sign-ups will go live on Friday at 5 p.m. But before we get to the providers, I'd like to invite Ms. Bastrake up onto the stage just to communicate what the expectations are from the learners themselves if they are wanting to travel. Thanks.
Hi everyone, happy to see a lot of familiar faces in the crowd. My name is Chelsea Bystrike, I'm the Dean of Students in the high school, and so part of my role in facilitating some of these trips is to make sure that our expectations for students who want to attend the trips are really, really clear. Obviously, these trips are very exciting opportunities for the students to take part in, and we want to make sure that all of our students are not only able to attend trips that they want to attend, but also to really enjoy them. I've been the Dean of Students just this year at DAA, but I've actually been at DAA for quite a long time. I've been here since 2016, and during that time, I've been very fortunate to be able to travel on several of these trips with our students. I've been able to travel with camps to Kenya with our kids. I've been able to travel to the East Coast of the US with Lush Escapes. And I remember both times that I went on those different trips. At the airport, as all of you lovely parents are bringing your students there and dropping them off to travel with us, both times the same thought went through my mind, and that thought was, oh my God, these parents are giving us their babies, and I am taking them on a plane far away, and it's my job to make sure that they are safe. And both times, I remember that fear sort of sinking into me, as it should, because it's an enormous responsibility that you entrust us with when we take your students on these really fun, exciting, adventurous trips. And we take that responsibility very, very seriously. And that's why I just wanted to address you tonight to let you know that one of the key factors that we communicate to students when it comes to their eligibility in participating in these trips is their behavior in school. It is really important that we can entrust that their behavior in school will translate to their behavior on the trip. Because when a teacher or a couple of teachers are taking a large number of students so far away from their parents and from their home, it's important that we know that all of those students are going to be safe. And part of being safe means following their teacher's directions and doing exactly what they're expected to do, because some of the places that we take our students to are very different from Dubai, and that's part of what makes it such a valuable experience. But that's also what makes our alert as teachers and travelers with them up on high when we're taking them out into places that might not have the same level of safety that Dubai does. And so one of the things that we've been really clear about with students in their class assemblies is that if they do not meet the behavior criteria for trips, they will not be invited to attend, and this is for their safety. This is for the safety and security of them being able to travel, but also for everybody else who really wants to enjoy the trip and have a good time. And so what we've communicated to students is that throughout the year, we are here to help and support them. Kids make mistakes from now and then. They wind up in my office for this, that, and the other. That's not to what I'm referring. But when students demonstrate over an extended period of time that a pattern of behavior might be indicative of behavior that we might see on a trip, then we will reach out to you and have a conversation to make sure that any trip that we are sending them on is appropriate for them. And so I just wanted to make you aware that sometimes we do have to have challenging conversations with parents and with students about whether or not they are eligible to attend trips. All of this is laid out very clearly as well in our high school handbook, if you'd like to refer to that. And I know that in the disclaimer and the waiver that is signed, it also indicates this. So I just wanted to come up here and make you aware, because as somebody who loves these kids and loves these trips, I know what a big responsibility it is. And part of taking that responsibility seriously also means doing our due diligence on this end here at school before we even get to the airport. And so it's just really important to keep that in mind. Also, behavior of students on the trips is really important. While our students are traveling overseas, it is so essential that they are following the directions of their teacher chaperones, but also the chaperones through our providers. In the past, occasionally there have been incidents where that has not been the case. And there have been incidents, unfortunately, where parents have had to get on a plane themselves and go collect their children from the trip because there have been behaviors that have either been unsafe or unruly to the point where it's actually impeding the experience of other students. Again, I say this to you because I think it's important that you have all of the information that you need to make good decisions and have good conversations with your students about which trips might be the best for them, which might be the most fun. And part of that is just understanding that our expectations for behavior on trips are significantly higher than our expectations for behavior in school, because it's a big responsibility to take all of those kids to all these really cool places. And I'll say it again, but we just take it very seriously. The other thing that we've also talked a lot to students about as they're thinking about and getting really excited about these trips is making sure that they do their research and making sure that they understand what trip they're signing up for and making sure that they're engaging in an open dialogue with you about what trip you would find most suitable and appropriate for them as well. We have had incidents in the past where students have really wanted to go to one specific location, like Iceland, for instance, and they've listed Iceland, Iceland, Iceland all over their form, and they were selected by Mr. Forbes to go to Iceland because they were so enthusiastic about doing so. Turns out they had never had a conversation with mom and dad about going to Iceland, and they were a little surprised to be getting a big old bill for a trip that they had never heard of. So it's really important to engage in conversation with you about what trip you think might be most appropriate for your students, where you might want to send them, and where they might want to go, so that everybody's on the same page, because I know that students get so excited when it comes to filling out that interest form that sometimes their excitement supersedes logic. And so it's just really important that before that happens, you have a conversation with them and you're on the same page about which trips they might be selecting. And that also applies to what they're expecting to experience on the trips. When we traveled to Kenya, for instance, we were way outside Mombasa at Camp Savo. We had an amazing, incredible time, but we were outside a lot. We were doing a lot of labor out there, working on schools, working on farms, and fortunately our children had an incredible time. Such a good time, in fact, that when we were leaving, I remember the man who oversees the camp there, Emmanuel, was actually really sad to see them go. But we've also had incidents where kids didn't realize that they were signing up to stay in tents, or they didn't realize they were signing up to go trekking through the wilderness, or they didn't realize that when they were signing up for a trip in New York City that it wouldn't look exactly like Gossip Girl. And so sometimes it's also important that as students, they review the itineraries for the trip and have a really good understanding of what they might be expected to experience when they're on it. One of the things I know about so many of the providers that we have here today is that they provide detailed explanations of all aspects of the trip, including different things students might expect to experience, including accommodation types, including transportation. And so while students are making decisions, it's important that they don't just think about how cool the destination is, but that they also think about what the experience itself will entail, and that they choose something that they know they're really going to enjoy. We don't want any student to ever be on a trip and be unhappy or uncomfortable. And so doing that research ahead of time prevents some of that from happening. And like I said, all of this messaging has also been delivered to them in their class meetings, especially grades 9 and 10, because that's the majority of our students who go on trips. So all we ask of them is that they demonstrate a really good pattern of behavior, just like we always expect them to here at DAA, to be able to be eligible to go, and that they do their research beforehand so that when they're making decisions about which trips they want to attend, they're making good decisions with the most important input, which of course is yours. Anyway, thank you so much for letting me steal a few minutes of your presentation. If you have any questions, please don't ever hesitate to reach out. I'm always happy to chat. Thanks. Back to you.
Thank you, Chelsea. Appreciate you taking the time out this evening. If we look at the options that we have today, unfortunately none of the on-campus providers could be here this evening. But if anyone is interested in the BizMark, BizSmart workshop and the INJAS Career Success Program, please get hold of me. We also run a first aid course at the school that only runs over 2 days, but there's an option for learners during that week. If we look at our local options, I put there the internship and work experience because well, let me go back. Your children have to participate in something during that week, whether they are traveling, whether they are participating in a workshop, or they are finding their own work experience or an internship to take part in. I put it in local, but we have had learners in the past that have worked internationally and found internship work or work experience work internationally, and that is obviously perfectly fine. There is a specific criteria for that, that learners can come and see me or find one of the staff members to help them with that. But going forward, just before we get to the two providers that are here, the two diving options that are here, Divers Down is a overnight experience in Fujairah, and Al-Boom is a day option, so every day they will be collected from school and brought back to school in the afternoon. Both of them come with a certification, a PEDI certification, and both of them have the open water certification and the advanced certification as options. But if you want any more information about those, please get hold of me. I don't know who I've got first. Bear Grylls, if they would like to come up and present, please.
Hi, good evening everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity and the time to be here and talk a little bit more about the burgers. My name is Aga, and this is my colleague T. We will take you quickly through the experience we want to provide to your kids. Sorry, because I'm seeing that we have here the shorter program. So we are basically having courses from 1 to 5 days. Let's go through this. So who we are the Burgers Explorers Camp located in Jebel Jais, is in Ras Al Khaimah, so not so far from Dubai, around 2 hours only driving. And we are providing outdoor educational courses for the students. What you can expect, what is the most important values which is behind our courses. So through our programs, the students have chance to experience the way of the living in the mountains. They can get the advanced and the basic survival skills. Of course, we are the burgers, so this is our main focus. There is also the option to experience the wilderness camping, campcraft. They can improve their skills in the self-cooking, in self-awareness, time management, and so on. I would say this is our 6 main pillars. All our programs are created, all our programs are designed. So the main focus is on, of course, on the environment, about the adventure, wildlife, sustainability, community, and personal development. So what is the most important? Through all these adventure activities, the students have a chance to develop the soft skills, self-awareness, time management, better communication, teamwork. We have a lot of activities available in our main camp or nearby, just like the walking distance. So we divided by a few categories. So we have a lot of adventure rope activities, including climbing, abseiling, high ropes, even the zip line, because you have to know that in the Jebel Jays we have the world's longest zip line, which is amazing experience and something for the students really love, and I'm waiting for it. For the adventure activities, we have the option for the archery, air rifle, hiking, of course survival skills, campcraft, and so on. The focus is also on the soft activities like a mental, not that physical. We have a lot of activities focusing on team building, on personal development through our hiking, and because of our location, we are a great place to learn about the local flora, fauna, culture, but also the geology or geography of the UAE. In this season, we will have also the amazing and a very unique opportunity to take also the students for the very first and the only one per farm in UAE. And in the evening, also, they will not get bored. Each evening, it will be a different activities we are offering and providing. Let's go just through. Okay, now we have 4 days program. Okay, let's go through some of the itinerary. This is just the example. We can slightly modify, but what we want to show you and what T will quickly present is we want to keep the kids busy from very early morning till very late evening, so there is no time for getting bored. It's a full day of fun and of the action.
Hi. Good evening. My name is Tim Elise Badala, but please call me T. I'm from Cape Town, South Africa. So this week we're busy at our camp. We are doing like a refresh. We have a guy from the Bear Grylls Academy to just refresh our new instructors and all the instructor skills. So the reason I choose, and I ask Aga always when she comes and meets up with parents who comes to school, is that I want you to be one of the instructors at camp. So I'm the chief instructor. So the reason I want to be here is just to give you a voice, and so you can see who will be handling the kids that they choose our program. It's very diverse. If I could talk about myself real quick, I remember growing up, I always used to spend a lot of my time outside, but I never realized up until I got older that, hey, I actually enjoy being outside. And I'm from the Xhosa clan in South Africa, and what we do when we turn 16 to the age of 21, you have a choice to go spend a month or so in the wilderness, and then they teach you skills and stuff. So you only appreciate those skills in the long run. So what we like to say in Cape Town is that there's 3 levels of fun. You know, when you do something instantly, when the kids like to play soccer. So at camp, we always try to hide our soccer balls, basketballs, so because that's what they want to go play, because those are the instant things they enjoy doing. And then there's level 2, when you go on a hike. You only realize when you're back in your car that you actually enjoyed that hike. All right, and level number 3 is when your partner takes you to go watch a documentary or a movie you're not interested in. And then something happens 6 months later, you're like, you know what? I actually enjoyed that movie. So that's why I like to be here, so I can so the parents and the students or learners that can see me, they know who's going to be handling them at camp. So our programs are very simple. They're very direct and straightforward. One of the key words that we've been talking about this whole time this week is back to basics. If you look at how the world is moving so fast, technology and everything else, it's very key that we remember to go back to the basics. So the nice thing about our program is that we're going to design it according to the students' needs, and then in a way that we challenge them. Remember, there's always 3 levels involved. It's you, the individual, and then you get put into a team, and then you and the team need to go through a process, and then you come up with the results. So that's what we want from your learners. So you can look at all the different things here: archery, high ropes, team building challenge, outdoor cinema, air rifles, abseiling. All these activities challenge us differently, and the nice thing about it is that we are creating the bonds with our friends. And the nice thing about camp is that maybe your son or daughter never gets to speak to one of the learners that are going to be on the trip, but when they come back, they've made new friends. Not even by having conversations, but just witnessing them do something different and put themselves out in a different, take themselves out of their comfort zone. Remember, the reason you want your kids, your children to go on these trips so that they can get out of their comfort zone and grow and come back home with a different skill. But with all that said, everything is, again, the reason I'm here to represent the team of instructors. I'm here to promise you, the parents, that we're going to do our best, our level best, to make sure that your children are safe and they come back home better people and with better skills. But I know that most parents, when your child comes back home from a trip, the first question you probably ask them is like, how was the food? So from the food, from the programming, to the accommodation, we try and keep it at the level best to make sure that everybody's safe and they come back home better people. Thank you so much.
Yes, so as you can see, we will have a full 5 days fulfilled with a lot of activities, easier one and more physical, more challenging. We always follow, we are burgers, so of course our motto is never give up. But at the same time, we follow the rules, challenge by choice. So no one is forced to do anything apart from, we are creating the friendly environment to give the kids possibility to go out of the comfort zones, to experience new things. But of course, everything and anything only to the limits they are feel comfortable. What would be the highlights of our program? Definitely one of this is survival skills or survival hike. And we are the burgers, I will be repeating this. So the course will not be completed without learning the survival skills and some of the methods which burgers was using. Apart from that, plenty of other activities, not only related with survival skills, through go out, which they will not only build the physical strength, but also improve the interpersonal or soft activities. During our evening time, there will be a lot of creative games, a lot of inspiring movies. I'm sure they will enjoy. And of course, for the high school students, we have also a lot of additional options. One of this, definitely one of the highlights is Jay's flight. So this is the world's longest zip line, 2.83 kilometers with a speed of around 160 kilometers. A great experience, and which will help to break the fear of speed or the height. We usually keep it at the very end of the course, so everyone is so excited and waiting for this final day to try it. In terms of the pricing, this is the price. We have two options of the accommodation. We would like to, and we already invited the teachers to come and see in a couple of next weeks our location to decide about the accommodation. We have two options. We have cabins, and we will have dormitory style new tents in a completely new school camping site. So our rates include actually everything apart from the transportation, just to and from the camp. So your kids will have accommodation, they will have food 3 times per day, and there will be always a snack break. They will have all the necessary equipment. Of course, they will be supervised, and they will be all the time with our certified instructors. We will provide a kit list, some of the very personal things they supposed to bring and be prepared, but it will be communicated well in advance. And here we have, as T mentioned, yeah, the food is always an important part, and usually the parents are asking after coming back, so are you not hungry? Maybe you should take some snacks. So no, snacks are not needed. We will have a great menu and variety of the food options. And here just a couple of the photos of our previous camps, previous courses. Last season only we had more than 800 students in our camp, so I think that the numbers are just talking about what we are doing. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, we are here for your disposal.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you taking the time. If I can ask Ashlyn from Absolute Adventures to come and let you know what they're about.
Thank you so much, Ivan. Thank you to the parents. I'm Ashlyn Anton. As you can hear, I'm also from Cape Town, South Africa. It's nice to see another fellow South African in the crowd. I would like to say thank you to DAA for inviting Absolute Adventure once again out. I would like to thank the parents for coming and also those who are live streaming from home. Thank you so much for taking the time out to listen to our presentations. So, Absolute Adventure. Learning beyond the classroom. Absolute Adventure is an outdoors activity program. We do a variety of things, we do corporate groups, but with a specific focus on delivering an outdoor experience for high school kids and also primary school kids. In this particular instance, it will be the year 8 and year 9. The only way I can really speak about Absolute Adventure is by showing you a video of what essentially we do, whether it's water sports or whether it's ground level activities. So here we go, bear with me. There's a short clip on Absolute Adventure and some of the activities that we do at some of our camps. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Ivan. Okay, so that was a snippet from one of our camps, our Kalbo camp, which has recently been refurbished. We actually spent a couple of millions on refurbishing that particular camp. But of course tonight we will be speaking about Wonder Camp, which will be for our year 8s and year 9s for DAA. So once again, I'll just repeat, who is Absolute Adventure? Absolute Adventure is an award-winning provider of local and international adventures. We do team buildings, outdoor consultancy services. Absolute Adventure is a very old company. We started in 2005. That gives us about 18 years of outdoor experience. And speaking about experience, I actually have the founder of Absolute Adventure in the crowd tonight. Mr. Paul Oliver. He has over 40 years experience in outdoor adventure. He has trekked all around the world, he has biked all around the world, he has driven all around the world. So of course most of these activities and also the educational links that we do at Absolute Adventure is done through the experience of Mr. Paul Oliver. So Absolute Adventure is also the preferred handler for several international charities. We pride ourselves on charity work. Mr. Paul Oliver is actually one of the co-founders of Gulf for Good, which is one of the local UAE charities. Absolute Adventure is one of the country's only 5-star provider of adventurous activities, which once again in its own right speaks volume of the type of work that we do at Absolute Adventure. So what essentially do we do? What do we actually specialize in? As mentioned previously, we offer both land and water-based activities, and also we focus on that experiential education trips for school. So in the case of DAA, we essentially try to combine the educational aspect with our activities, whether it's hiking, mountain biking. We try to ensure the holistic development of the kids of DAA. We also specialize in local and international expeditions, so not only the UAE, we also travel all around the world, so we have a couple of sites in South America and Bulgaria too. And once again, we also specialize in corporate social responsibility groups, charity events as mentioned previously, a variety of cycle challenges that we actually host and facilitate for a variety of international names and companies. And then finally, we also have adventure tourism consultancy. We actually consult with a variety of government organizations on adventure tourism within their particular emirate. So as you can see, Absolute Adventure is all over the place, all over the UAE and also all over the country. And then before I actually move on, there's one thing I would love to mention, that recently, as of this year, Absolute Adventure has merged with the Hero Experiences Group. It's a massive ecotourism company that specializes in looking after the environment, and of course that ethos of the Hero Experiences Group ties in with what we believe at Absolute Adventure is looking after the environment, ensuring the growth of our kids, and trying to integrate the two. As mentioned previously, that is Mr. Paul Oliver, and he's sitting currently in the crowd. Over 40 years experience. He is a wilderness first responder. He's also a third aider. He is also a PPE and rope inspector, and he's approved as an inspector of activity providers in Fujairah. Paul has set up a number of companies, so not only the UAE, but also international. Next in line, we have our adventure manager, Mr. Dirk Mosley. Dirk is responsible for both creating our activities and also delivering our activities, whether it's abseiling, whether it's mountain biking, whether it's climbing. He is the creator of those particular activities. Dirk is a professional in outdoor learning and an accredited practitioner for the Institute for Outdoor Learning, which is an extremely high qualification in the outdoor world. Then of course, that would be me. I am Ashlanton once again. As you can see on the screen, I have few qualifications that I've completed back home in South Africa. So I have a BA degree, a PGCE, a BA Honours, and as of about 2 months ago, a Master's degree in Geography. So back home, I was in charge of both managing and running the Social Science Department. One of my core functions in Absolute Adventure is essentially combining curriculum links with the variety of activities that we deliver throughout our camps. So of course we try to ensure that yes, the activities has to be fun and it's filled with all those good memories, but we also try to ensure that our kids walk away with knowing about fauna, flora, the environment, the importance of leaving no trace. That is essentially what we try to give. So once your child comes back home, he's able to speak about Mommy, Daddy, the variety of activities we did, but they can also attest to the fact that they've actually learned about the environment too. Last on our list would be our ops manager. Jim actually, he's always been in the outdoors. He's actually an ex-military vet. So of course he has a variety of experience in outdoor adventure. He even owns his own company. So he has extensive knowledge on the outdoor too. There's just one quote that, when I spoke to Jim, I asked him like, what would you want me to tell you, to speak about you when it comes to the parents? And he said that, please remind them of the following quote: tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I learn. And of course that is a famous quote from Benjamin Franklin. So Absolute Adventure, we expose our kids to experiential learning. So we actually try to bring what they learn into the classroom, into the outdoor environment. All our staff, and this is something that I have to comment on, they are fully vetted, they are fully checked. All instructors carry internationally recognized certification and have received extensive in-house training before we actually started our variety of camps. We do not recruit interns or students or trainees. All staff are vetted via the DBS checks and police clearance. All staff receive child safeguarding training each and every year, and all staff hold a minimum certificate, outdoor certificate or first aid qualification, level 3. Then of course the camp that the year level 8 and 9 will be attending, it's located 1 hour from Dubai. That's our wonder camp. It has a diverse range of environmental features, which include both mountains and also wadis. At this particular camp, and I have to mention, it is the teepee tents as evident on the image. And you have that beautiful mountain environment in the background, that pristine environment that we try to expose our kids to. At that particular camp, we're able to accommodate 60 students. And because we are so close to our Kalba water sports, we're actually able to offer them some kayaking activities close by. So this is what a sample itinerary could possibly look like. I'm not saying this is the fixed itinerary, we are currently still working on it with DAA, but this is a sample itinerary for day 1. So at 11 o'clock we have our arrival, our introductions, and of course our Leave No Trace introduction, which is a talk on the environment and how our kids can actually preserve the environment. At 12:30 we have lunch, at 1:30 we have the possibility of orienteering, archery, bushcraft, and then by 5:30 we have some reflection time. Reflection time for us is very important as it gives us an idea of what your child has learned throughout all the activities, and especially that educational links that we try to bring across. By day 2, we're looking at a quick start to the morning, which involves breakfast, morning briefing, some bushcraft, once again that reflection. By 1:30, we're doing another set of activities, archery, bushcraft, and also orienteering. You will notice that there are 3 activities, and of course, depending on the numbers, each group, we usually split them into 3 groups. Each group will have the opportunity to engage in each and every activities, because we do not want any learner coming home and complaining and saying, "Mommy, Daddy, I didn't do some archery." We try to ensure that all our kids go through all the activities and through all the educational things. Because this is a week without walls, there are 5 days in total, so we're looking at day 3. Once again, an early start. We then have our morning briefing, our beautiful nature tech, our team initiative games, which are designed at ensuring team building and some of those characteristics that ensures team building initiatives. We have slacklining, we have once again reflection. And as you move to day 4, once again, there's a rotation in the activities, slacklining, team initiative games, nature painting, and also nature walks. By day 5, we try to spend a lot of time on reflection. What have you learned over these 4 or 5 days? Can you actually go home and say that I've learned about the environment, I've enjoyed myself? And essentially we try to get that from all the kids that come through our doors. Have you learned something, and can you contribute once again to the environment, or at least ensure environmental preservation? Safety for us is an important aspect at Absolute Adventure. We do have a full-time safety manager. We also have a full-time learning and development manager who creates personalized PDPs for all our staff. Standards are maintained through regular interval equipment checks, certification, inspection of our facilities, and of course risk management strategies. And it's also worth mentioning all the way at the bottom that we are the only UAE adventure company compliant with iOS 21101 and also ISO 31000. Our instructor ratio, depending on the group of kids that we have at a particular time, depending on the activity, we might have 1 to 6. So 1 instructor for 6 learners with the presence of 1 educator. Also we have, depending on the activity, 1 to 24 with the presence of an educator. So there's always an educator present, and always one of our field instructors are always present. We follow the industry best practices and ensure our higher risk activities have a higher ratio of instructors to participate. So depending on the activity, if for example it's a strenuous activity, we ensure that we have more instructors at that particular activity. Insurance, should anything happen at our particular camps, I have to state that we do have a 5 million per incident. Hopefully nothing happens, and I'm sure nothing will happen. We want your kids to actually have an enjoyable experience, but it is worth mentioning. Finally, we have risk assessment. Due to the nature of the activities that we do, whether it's mountain climbing, mountain biking, there is a risk element involved. All students are involved during our programs. There's an element of risk, as repeated. All of our activities has been thoroughly risk assessed and are led by competent, qualified staff. Child protection. Because we are dealing with kids, we have to ensure the highest level of child protection. So all staff undergo child protection training at the start of each and every year. Training is in line with child protection training delivered to international schools across Dubai. Then finally, our adventure manager, who is Dirk, who I introduced previously, acts as the safeguarding lead for Absolute Adventure, meaning he is responsible for the overall safety of your child at our camps. Behavior management. Usually what happens when the kids step into our camps, we try to ensure that we look after all the behavioral aspects of your child. Should anything happen that is perhaps beyond our control, we will then involve the educator to assist us. Finally, I would like to speak about medication. If, for example, your child does suffer from asthma or has to be administered a certain type of medication, please, before the start of the actual camp or the program, inform us beforehand, because we will not be administering any form of medication, and we usually leave that up to the educator or the school to deal with. Thank you so much.
Before we get on to our international options, we have a lot of them on offer. So we have asked the providers to sort of introduce who they are and then just give a brief overview of what they have on offer for the year. Just quickly before before we go on with Alice, it's important to know for parents that grade 12s are not permitted to travel to travel during the HSC week, and only a select few grade 11s with consultation from the leadership team are eligible to travel. One of these options. Alice is here from Student Expeditions, just with a couple extras. A lot of the companies we deal with do not facilitate the visa process, and that's why Alice is here.
Hi, good evening. So as mentioned there, my name is Alice from Student Expedition Extras, and I'm here very briefly to talk to you about the thing that you're probably not thinking about right now, which is the visa that your son or daughter may require when they choose to travel internationally. If you've decided they're going to go on a local trip, fantastic, but maybe bear this in mind for maybe next year, or if it's not the Week Without Walls trip, just for another trip there as well. Thank you very much. So who we are, we're a passionate team that essentially want to ensure that your son or daughter can travel to wherever they want to, regardless of their passport nationality. So we do this by working directly with the school and the lead teacher for each individual trip. We will work directly with a number of trip providers, again getting any documentation that we will require from them, as well as working directly with each embassy. We are very fortunate to work directly with VFS, which is a fantastic thing for us, and in turn for you. So if it turns out that your son or daughter requires a visa appointment, we can get them right to the top of that list and get that appointment straight away. As well as if anything needs expedited or something goes wrong, we've got that direct communication with them, which is really, really helpful, especially when from launching to travelling, it's a very, very small window. So just to reiterate, it is only the visas that we offer, but essentially we specialise in the visas for student travels with their school. So we're not doing visas for anyone and everyone, it is only for this, so it really is our niche. When you may be thinking, now as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, everyone will find out on the 1st of October which trip they have been allocated. And as the high school Week Without Walls trips will be departing in February, that means our deadline is the 15th of November. So that gives you 6 weeks from learning which trip your son or daughter has been allocated or that they've chosen to go on, to then apply with us. Please do not come to us on the 16th of November and hope that we are going to help you with your visa, because we might not. If we can, we may try, but I'm not telling you that, okay? If we can help, we will, of course. But we would really, really encourage you to get in that 6-week window. It makes it much easier for you and in turn us as well. So where? Depending on your son or daughter's nationality, as well as where they want to travel, will of course determine what it is that they need. So for example, if they need a visa appointment, we can arrange to have this individually, or we can arrange to have this here directly at school. It saves your time, obviously you know where the school is, as well it reduces the impact on their school and their time outside of the classroom. If it's a visa that we can obtain directly, we will have this delivered to school for 2 weeks prior to departure to the lead teacher for that specific trip. You are more than welcome to then collect it from them, or you can just leave it with them to take with them as well. Now why do we do this? It is the headache, it is the thing no one wants to think about. We see, or you're about to see, a number of fantastic international options, and of course we want your son or daughter to travel on them. We think it's fantastic that they have these opportunities, and we want to help you get there. We want it to be as smooth as possible, and essentially mean that you don't have a headache trying to get the bit that they really, really do need. So how do we do this, or what are the next steps to do this? So the QR code shown here, you will receive this, I believe, at a later date, so don't worry too much if you don't get a photo. So the QR code here is going to take you to our website. Each destination has got its own country page. Gives you a bit of information, and at the bottom of that there is a very short 6-step form. It will take you about 10 minutes at most, if I'm honest, to complete. And from there, this will go straight to our team directly at VFS, who will get back to you within 48 hours explaining exactly what it is that you need and the process that we're going to do to obtain the visa. So you'll hear from us then. Most of the time you'll hear from us then, and then you won't need to hear or be in contact with us until we're telling you when we're delivering the visa. Okay, so it is a really, really smooth process. I know it's kind of a bit of a bummer in terms of hearing all the fun stuff, and it's the bit you don't want to hear about, but hopefully that helps you. We'll stick around at the end if you've got any questions with regards to visas. If your son or daughter is travelling on what is kind of deemed a more difficult passport, and this is potentially influencing what option you might go with, please do reach out and let us know, and we will kind of help guide you with that as well. Thank you.
Amazing. Okay. We have again 11 opportunities for grade 9s and a whole lot more for grade 10, including the 3 university trips. So we'll try and go through them as quickly as we can without missing any of the information. So we'll start with Tim from Club Europe.
Good evening, everyone. So, Club Europe have worked with DAA for a number of years. Oh gosh, this is right. Okay. We are based in the UK, and we're providing 2 trips for you today. If you'd like to have a bit of information, I can put up a QR code that would allow you to take the information from me. Basically, the first trip that we're doing is running to Germany. It's built around the idea of enrichment, a bit of history, trying to give the children a chance to see some of the impressive sites that have been through the last century. So the arrival would be with Emirates. We travel just with Emirates, and you'd be flying into Munich on the 20th of Feb, and then having one night in Munich to be able to acclimatise, see a few local things with guides, and then we would take the high-speed train up to, gosh, it's moving, up to Berlin, and the group would then spend a few nights in Berlin to enjoy things such as the Reichstag and Checkpoint Charlie, lots of art and lots of historical things. This trip is really designed for those that have got an interest in all things to do with the European side. Germany itself is fantastically cultural. So, without wanting to go into too much detail, the trip for that one is going to be here. So, if you want to take a photo of the screen, you might be able to see the QR code there. If for any reason it doesn't work, I'm outside for half an hour or so after the presentation, and we can show you how to get on. So the first trip, as I say, we've tried to keep the price point as affordable as possible, and we believe that it's a chance for the group to see something that probably they wouldn't have seen before. The other trip that we're doing is to Paris. This one is going to be, again, running similar dates, and as many of you know, just last week the French announced the start of their run into the Olympics, which take place in July 2024. So Paris is going to be the host city for the Olympics. I think they're looking at next year as being a really big year for them to celebrate all things leading up to the Olympics in July. So our trip would be built around a arts and design aspect as well, given the ability to see lots of the galleries, but also because there is obviously such a lot to see in Paris, let me just move over here, there we go. There is the opportunity of seeing, going to some of the big sites. If we can, we'll organise a trip to one of the French League football matches, which is a big hit, and also for those that are interested, a trip to Disneyland Paris. So quite a different trip to the ones that you will probably see throughout the evening. These two are built around culture, experience, and like with everything, we will work once we know if the sign-ups are what year, what age group, what requirement they have. We'll look to give the itinerary a real personal touch. So, as I say, the QR codes will give you access to the website, and if you haven't had a chance to take it yet, please come and see me afterwards. I'll say I'm just set up outside next to camps. But for the moment, thank you very much for your time and enjoy the evening. Thank you.
We have from Edu Voyage to
Good evening, everyone. We see more operators than the parents. I'm Rahman. I represent EduVoyage, the educational travel wing of ITL World, a travel management company. Before we proceed further with presenting Greece program, let me take this opportunity to introduce EduVoyage. We are a specialized division of ITL World, catering to intricate requirements of student enrichment travel. We have a presence in all GCC countries and have been managing projects for numerous schools and universities in the region for several years. EduVoyage understands the intricacies incurred during the planning of innovative educational trips for ever-involving and ever-evolving young minds. We also extend support with visa applications formalities for any destinations for which we operate the programs too. Meeting the needs of multinational students, parents and teachers, EduVoyage follows stringent measures to ensure quality, safety and security. Every aspect of the trip is thoroughly inspected to ensure suitability and compliance with safety measures. In addition to local guides and support team at the destinations, all trips are accompanied by an experienced member of EduVoyage for round-the-clock on-the-ground assistance. All our student travel programs are mandatorily protected with travel insurance coverage as well. Drawing upon our proficiency in orchestrating extensive student programs, EduVoyage remains steadfast in its accomplishment of skillfully crafting and actualizing global journeys that align with specific thematic needs from different subject matter experts from the school. These themes encompass a diverse range from technology and space camps to automotive factory visits, student exchange initiatives, and even benevolent volunteering ventures. Our portfolio spans a wide spectrum, encompassing experiences such as space camps at esteemed institutions like the NASA in US and Turkey, engagements with pivotal centers of knowledge like CERN in Geneva, and other traversing destinations anywhere in the world. These are a few of our programs which were executed for schools and universities in the region. Some more programs. And before I present a short video of Greece, just to highlight that we have established a robust and thorough registration process that adheres strictly to the health and safety guidelines, operational protocols, and risk assessment requirements. As a result of these efforts, we are proud to announce that we are one of the authorized operators entrusted with organizing field trips for GEMS schools in the region. I would like to present a small and a brief tour video for Greece, showcasing its architecture and historical sites, which will be covered during the field trip. Thank you once again to the school management, Ivan, and all parents for being here. We are available at our desk to answer any of your queries with regards to Greece Field Trip. Thank you once again.
If I can ask Ali from TwinX to come up, please. Yes, I'll do it.
Great. Hello everyone, my name is Ali from Trans World Educational Experiences, and I'm going to talk you through 2 trips. 3 slides, promise, 3 slides only. I'll give you an overview of trip 1 for grade 10s and an overview of trip 2 for grade 9s. Alright, so first of all, we'll talk about why us. Why us? So, Trans World Educational Experiences originated in the UK. We offered international travel for schools all across the UK, and then we came to the Middle East around 2014. From that point on, we were fairly dominant in the sports tours and sports events market, and since then we've branched into ski, performing arts and subject tours. We send roughly, I think this year we're on track for 4,000 international travellers, a lot of them going to our events. We are the tour operator for the BSME Games, British Schools in the Middle East, and we also run our own World School Games event for those of you who might have been part of those. We are run by travel experts and predominantly ex-teachers, me being one of them. I used to be the head of PE over at King's Al Barsha, and I've moved over to the corporate travel side. Unique to our trips, you will always have one of me, and we'll always have a local guide. So you'll be well looked after, as well as the teachers, who we hope can enjoy the bonding they do with the kids, and leave all the nitty-gritty organisation stuff to us. Thorough health and safety checks are ongoing. We go to every site ourselves, go to Singapore next week, we go to every site ourselves to ensure that safeguarding measures and health and safety is in place. We have a great relationship with DAA. We do lots of trips, particularly with Mrs. Leclerc in PE. Miss Leclerc. Oh. Miss Leclerc in PE. Marine Colleges, I know her personally. And we have a great time. We went to Greece last year, fantastic. We do lots of swimming competitions with the school, and we're excited to branch out into the Sri Lanka and the Vietnam trips that you're about to see. 4 things for us in that order. We want to ensure that your kids have a safe time. We want to ensure your kids have a fun time, that they learn and bring things home, and also that they create memories that they do not forget. In all of our trips, we offer a 1 to 10 staff ratio, so everything that you expect in a trip, you will get. Direct flights, usually with Emirates, if not Emirates, another premium airline. You will get comprehensive gold hazardous insurance. You will receive 4-star or better accommodation, all meals included. Luxury coach, I say luxury, it's a coach. We all know what a coach is. They have seat belts, nice seats, clear windows, and they'll carry your luggage. But they are classed as luxury. All activity entry fees are also included. The only things that aren't is where our friend Alice, excellent by the way, comes in. She'll take care of all your visa troubles, and of course spending money. We designed the programme so that spending money is not required, but we know that you like souvenirs, so you give your kids money to bring you things back. Great. On to grade 10, Sri Lanka, surf and sustainability. This one's gained a lot of traction this year in particular. We have 6 other schools in the UAE alone going on this trip, so it's a really popular one. I'm going to just guide you from left to right. I'll talk you through some of the highlights. You can look at some of the activities that they'll do, and then we'll just briefly touch on a typical day. So, the highlight of this trip is very much they will work on soft skills and hard skills. They will learn to surf if they cannot already surf, and they will of course learn about sustainable living in a real authentic environment. If they've never surfed before, they are more than welcome. If they are a pro surfer, more than welcome. So it will largely be surf, eat, sleep, repeat, and we'll be staying at a beach resort on the southern province of the island. World-class instruction from our Australian coaches. All of them are Australia trained, with certificates to the moon that we can share if required. We will see the real world impact of plastic on our oceans. One of the highlights of this trip is actually a beach clean. So we'll be giving back to the local community, tidying up their beaches, but also sifting through what we collect, working out how it got there, why it got there, how to stop it. We'll be teaching local children some basic skills: drawing, painting, artwork, English, which is a really rewarding part of the trip. We'll be supporting marine development by visiting turtle sanctuaries. We'll not only be releasing turtles into the ocean, we will be helping upgrade the facilities that those turtles are hatched in. We'll be renovating a local school alongside the wildlife hatchery, and finally learning some sustainable cooking techniques. A typical day. This was very straightforward. Surf in the morning, we're up early, we get the best waves, we come back for breakfast. The other half of the group who didn't surf will go and surf. We'll then have lunch. We will then do one of the afternoon activities revolving around sustainability. We will close with some Sunset Beach games, we'll have a dinner, then we'll have some campfire stories. Repeat times 5. Okay, moving on to Vietnam. Slightly different theme, history and culture. So for those budding historians out there, this is the one for you. Again, we'll work left to right. The highlights of this trip are largely that we'll go and learn about a war-struck community. Known to us, most of us, as the Vietnam War, known to them as the American War. A lot of what we do will be based on the story and the impact of that in the region. We'll be based in Ho Chi Minh. We'll be staying in the Wink Hotel or equivalent, visiting Ho Chi Minh City and learning the story of Saigon and how it has now become Ho Chi Minh. We'll visit the War Remnants Museum, seeing lots of artefacts from the terrible impact of the war. We will test our stealth. I'd love to know if anyone's actually been here. In the Chu Chi tunnels. Hands up, who's been in the Chu Chi tunnels? The Chu Chi tunnels are basically where the Vietnamese hid when they were being attacked. And they're tiny, tiny tunnels underground. So imagine the size of an A4 piece of paper. I was requested to fit through that size of hole, and I did it. So your child will also get that experience. Quite daunting, actually, from experience, quite daunting. So you'll test your stealth in the Chu Chi tunnels. We will do a rowboat tour in the Mekong Delta, where you'll be taken around the delta by the rowboats. Lots of these drivers row the boats with their feet. Yes, their feet, not their hands, their feet. We will study sustainable farming in the Kanto rice paddy, quite an eye-opener for the young people. We will visit floating markets in the Kai Rang region, where all trading is done from boat to boat. We will also do a bike tour of the Kanto countryside, and finally we will be doing a traditional cooking class, again using sustainable ingredients. A typical day, slightly different to the surfing trip. We will do morning activities, no real rhyme or reason, just what fits in the morning, followed by afternoon activity, followed by evening meal, stories for the day, bedtime. You can see a list of the activities that we will do. If you would like more information on either one of these trips, you can scan, you can see the full breakdown, all of the days, day by day itinerary. Otherwise, I'll be out there for half an hour beyond the end of this presentation, and you've heard enough from me now, so I'm going to go.
If I can ask Susan from Orient Travel to come and show us the South Korea option.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here this evening and inviting us to present South Korea's STEM trip. As usual, I brought my laptop and I wanted to show you a lovely video of Orient Travel, but I think I'll speak a bit about Orient Travel before we begin to show the program to you. So very quickly, Orient Travel is a very old company in the UAE, and is 63 years old actually. It's one of the largest travel management companies in the region. We are available in all the Emirates and in wider GCC region as well. Primarily we look after global companies that have regional setups in the UAE and the region. But also we look after events management, so we are a big events company as well, and we handle meetings, incentives, conferences, and events. We've done over 1,000 trips so far, and we've been working with schools and universities in the last 10 years or so. So we recently got vetted by Camps International and GEMS Group to manage their school trips. And we're completely vetted, risk assessments, risk management, safety and security, child safeguarding policies, police clearances done. Our main focus is international trips for 12 years and upwards. So I think the STEM trip is for grade 10, is that correct? Right. Try to use my laptop because this one is, I think this one is the PDF version. Is it? Oh, great. Oh, how sad. That's sad.
Sorry.
Okay, anyway, let's switch. So, although you won't see, I can share this presentation. I've already shared it with Ivan, and maybe we can share it over an email with you guys. So before we present the trip, I'll just quickly go through inclusions and exclusions. So all our trips are all-inclusive. That means your child is coming on a trip where everything is included. Flights, accommodation in 3-star, 4-star properties, the ground transportation in private coaches, all meals, and because we have a big Middle Eastern community here, we try to do halal wherever we can, so we always ask for halal food. Bottled water throughout the tour and at the hotels. All the activities and tours that are mentioned in the itinerary that Ivan Forbes has shared with you. And entrance fees and enjoyments for all the sites mentioned in the itinerary, including all the costs and project costs and management. We do a minimum of 2 teachers for 10 students and 2 teachers for 20, and as so on and so forth. We also include an events tour director from Orient Travel, so your children are very well looked after while we manage the on-site management for all your kids. The only thing that's excluded from the itineraries are the visas. We do have a visa division and we can assist all parents with visas, but it comes at an additional cost, or you can simply deal with Alice over here, who's a lovely lady. When we come to duty of care, we are taking your children as the dean mentioned that duty of care, child safeguarding policies are a big thing. So all our trips are safely risk assessed and risk managed. We include in the trip, and it's included in the trip, is premium travel insurance with a high medical benefit. So if a student does fall ill during the trip and needs to be medically seen, go to a hospital or evacuated back home, this is all covered by the insurance at no extra cost to the parent. As an additional layer of security, we include a duty of care membership. So today we see acts of God, or like natural disasters, or kidnappings, or political tension in countries. So we have partnered with a global agency that has offices all over the world, and we work with them, and we include duty of care membership. Once the membership gets activated, all your children can be tracked and traced, and they also offer pre-trip and during-trip advisories. If there is a situation where children are in harm's way, an evacuation is carried out. So all this is all included in the membership, and it's included in the itinerary as well. So why South Korea, and why STEM in South Korea? South Korea is a captivating destination for students around the world, and it offers a unique blend of modernity and tradition. The country is situated in the Korean Peninsula, providing a gateway to East Asia. It shares a border with North Korea on the north side and is surrounded by the Yellow Sea and the Sea of Japan. It's easily accessible from various international airports, making it a convenient destination for students around the world, not only from the UAE. Weather-wise, since we're traveling at the end of February, so it is still a little cold with a little sporadic snowfall. So we'll have highs of 10 degrees and lows of 5 degrees, so layers are recommended. And if all of you lovely parents do choose this STEM tour, we come up with all our guidelines pre-trip. South Korea is a global leader in technology and innovation, and it's home to some of the biggest tech giants in the world, like Samsung, LG, and Hyundai, making it the ideal destination for students interested in STEM field. A visit to the tech parks, research institutions, and STEM museums can inspire your sons and daughters and offer insight on cutting-edge advancements. History and culture-wise, it has a rich history that dates back thousands of years, and our tour includes visits and activities to ancient places and cultural hubs, offering valuable insights into South Korea's transformation into a modern nation. Students can experience the beauty of Korean art, music, dance, and traditional clothing, hanbok, they call it. Sometimes there could be surprise K-pop drama gain popularity around the world, and I think a lot of students in the UAE just love K-pop. Of course, all these will depend upon the calendar for 2024, which is yet to be published. So we have chosen Korean Air. These are direct flights into Seoul, and if you're flying on the 25th of Feb, it's an evening flight getting into Seoul the next morning. And our return flight on 1st of March leaves at 12:45, arrives into Dubai 18:30. So this is between the 26th of Feb and the 1st of March. Accommodation is 3-star similar, based on double sharing for students and single sharing for teachers. The cost per student, Ivan has asked us to keep the price point low, so we give all the children opportunity to participate on this trip, and we have a price of 9,990, which is all inclusive. It's a fantastic price, and if numbers increase or decrease, the prices also may increase and decrease. The program is 4 nights and 5 days long, offering students an opportunity to participate. So a very quick overview. I don't want to bore you with the tour because I'm sure you will already have opportunities to see it. Yeah. So we have 2 full days of STEM learning and 2 full days of history and culture. And I hope that you take this opportunity to go on this trip with us. I don't think I really want to, go through the whole thing because I see that there are a lot of other international providers over here, and it's going to take a long time. However, go through the iFreeze because they are fantastic. It's for the Alpha generation. So your sons and daughters, if they're going to be budding scientists or into astronomy, technology, this is a wonderful trip for them. Thank you very much.
Abhishek from National Scouts, please. Please don't apologise. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Very good evening, everybody. Hello. Yes, hi, we're still alive. By the end of this, I'm sure we're all going to be experts in geography. I've heard that Gulliver traveled the world in 80 years, or 80 days. We did it in like 80 minutes, right? Okay, my name is Abhishek. Some of you know me from our past trips with DAA. We've been working with DAA for almost close to a decade now. Thank you again for this opportunity. Thank you for being here. I know this is quite exhaustive, quite daunting. I also have a very, very long list to cover, but I promise I'm going to make it very crisp, very short. I don't have any other ways to actually do this more efficiently, but this is an information session, so I will impart as much as I can and try to make it very crisp. Also, just to give you guys a note that all our programs, I'm going to be actually going through 16 programs with you guys today across the world. All of our programs and the detailed itineraries for these programs have been uploaded onto the Week Without Walls website. So we're not going to go into the specifics. I'm only going to give you snapshots of each of the programs for you to see the area of destinations that we cover, and then I'm going to be spending some time outside. If you have some specific queries or questions, I'll be happy to take those. Okay, so let's deep dive into this right away. Has been in the realm of organizing experience-based, immersive travel getaways for students all across the UAE. We've been doing that for almost 10 years now, and it is a great pleasure to be showcasing you guys with the plethora of itineraries and experiences that we have for this year, 2023 and 2024. Hope you enjoy the session tonight, and I wish you guys all the luck and all the best for your future endeavors. Happy travels. Thank you so much. Okay. So the first 8 to 9 experiences are for grade 9. What we're going to do is we have based these experiences based on special interests. These special interest categories are focused on adventure and sports, culture and history, university tours and biodiversity tours. We're talking about Japan now, which is culture and history. So Japan has always been a myriad mix of culture, gastronomy, art and innovation. And this particular trip encompasses great contrast between the Edo era and the modern day living. Some of the experiences that we're going to cover in Japan will include the tea ceremony and the kimono wearing in Kyoto. We're also going to be visiting a lot of temples, historical sites, monuments and palaces. With respect to art, we're going to be doing a lot of calligraphy workshops. We're going to be visiting the Maglev Center of Innovation, obviously for kids to enjoy certain element of entertainment. We also have a trip to the Disney World, and no Japanese trip is complete without great Japanese fare, cuisine and gastronomy. So that's in a snapshot of what we have for Japan. Next up is Mauritius. This is a 6-night, 7-day getaway that we do for Mauritius. We have planned this trip before as well for students at DAA. We make the students stay on the west side of the island, which is known for its beaches. And the entire focus of this trip is based on biodiversity. We see a lot of diverse flora and fauna. We do a lot of island hopping excursions. From a sustainability initiative, we do coral propagation, we do reef conservation, and we see a lot of wildlife which is endangered and which is actually specific to the island of Mauritius. So all in all, it's a biodiversity trip. This one is very close to my heart. I've actually been leading trips to Finland and to see Northern Lights for almost a decade now. The impetus that we bring on the table to see the Northern Lights is a little different from how it's done traditionally. We actually do this expedition wherein we make the students chase the Northern Lights. So if you are aware of Aurora Borealis and the phenomena, there are two key factors actually that propagate the phenomena. One is the activity, the solar storm activity on a specific day, and secondly, it's the temperature and the climate of the region where you are, which makes the lights visible. Obviously, it has to be in the dark, can't be in the daylight. So we've selected Rovaniemi as a destination, and Rovaniemi is located within the Arctic belt. It's above 66 degrees north, which means that the chances to see the Aurora Borealis is great. Also, Rovaniemi is a dry place during February end, so the chances are good. And also, the reason why we chase the Northern Lights is because we have experts on ground which help us to assess the density and the activity of the Northern Lights within a 200-kilometer radius. So even you may be situated in Rovaniemi, but you may have to travel like, let's say, an hour or so to see the activity, and that's how we chase the Northern Lights. With reference to that, and in addition to the Northern Lights chases, we have other adventure activities that we partake while we are in Finland, such as husky safaris, dog sledging. We take them to a wildlife safari camp as well, and also make the students get involved with the Sami culture, which is the indigenous tribes that were the first settlers within the Nordic region and Scandic region. So that's our trip to Finland. Keeping in mind the culture and art special interest, we have planned an amazing getaway to the Golden Triangle of Italy. This is another trip that we have organized before with some of the GEM schools. It has always been a highlight. We cover Rome, Venice and Florence on this particular trip. And the main highlights of the trip are visiting the historical sites in Rome, wherein we cover the Pantheon, the Colosseum, Trevi Fountain, Spanish Steps. All this is done with a historic guide. Then we move on to Florence to check out the art scene over there. Obviously, no visit to Florence is complete without seeing the two famous art galleries, which is the Accademia and Uffizi. And then we head to Venice, wherein we do some arts and crafts. We do a mask making workshop for the students. We take them to a glass factory, do some pizza and pasta making, as well as a ride on the gondola. So again, all in all, a great trip. We do direct flights into Italy, and all the other arrangements are taken care of in a very seamless fashion. Also, I just want to point out over here, I'm not going into the details of the hotels and the flights. All of that is uploaded onto the website. But in most of our trips, you will see, except for Finland and probably a couple of other destinations, I would say 85 to 90% of the trips are on direct flights via Emirates. So it's quite seamless connectivity. The hotel options that we have provided in on most of the trips are 4-star and above. So that's just for you to keep in mind. Next up is UK. This is a performing arts trip for students who are interested in performing arts, drama, dance and music. This is again a 5 nights, 6-day, a week-long trip. We make the students stay in London, and we basically work with a performing arts entity in the UK, and we do private workshops. So there are 2 private workshops that are a part of this trip. One workshop is positioned towards music. There's another workshop which is dance and ballet. So if your child is interested in performing arts, this is a great opportunity for him or her to embark on this journey. Whatever they learn during these private workshops, they obviously get to perform as well. in front of an audience, and in addition to that, they also see shows at the West End and also music concerts. No trip to London is complete without heading to the usual suspects. So obviously, you know, the London sites such as the Big Ben, the Thames River Cruise, the Buckingham Palace, and museums are also covered on this trip. Heading back closer to home, I understand that most of us are privy to the glamour and glitz that Dubai has to offer. So I would say that Oman is probably the other side of the coin when it comes to the Middle East region. And you know, I feel that a trip to Oman is something which is a little bit sublime than what we have over here. And that's exactly what we want to get from this particular opportunity. So this is again a 6-day trip to Oman, where we take the students to the Old Muscat. We make them visit a dhow making factory. We do make them visit some desert areas and some village settlements. And another highlight of the trip is to do some dolphin watching. So it is the dolphin season in February. It's a great opportunity, and this trip is something which the students won't have to travel, for long. It's just very close to home. And if they are wanting to learn more about Middle East and Oman, then this is a perfect mix for them. This is the last trip on offer for grade 9ers. In fact, this trip is also available for students, for grade 10. Umrah trip is very auspicious, and it's a very pious event for all Muslim families. We've been conducting trips for Umrah for almost 15 years now. There is a colleague of mine who is a Muslim lady. She basically has been doing expeditions to Umrah. So she would be leading this trip for students who would be interested. I understand that trips to Umrah can be a little bit daunting because of the paraphernalia of accommodation and the distance to the Haram and Kaaba. I'm sure some of you would have been there and would have experienced that. So what we have gotten into focus is to keep the accommodation as close to possible to the Haram and the Kaaba. So we have gotten approval to make the students stay in 5-star accommodations for this particular trip. So we use either the Pullman or the Fairmont Hotel in Makkah, which is right within walking distance and close proximity to the places of worship. We do that, and also in Medina we have selected great properties. In addition to the ceremonies and the visits to the religious mosques, we also do city explorations at both the cities, and also take the students for a day trip to Taif, which is a mountainous town around an hour or 2 hours away from Makkah, for them to do some team building activities. And again, this trip is open for grade 9 and grade 10. So I'm going to be presenting some options for grade 10 now. The ski trip to Austria has been a constant feature with DAA. We've been doing this trip for students of grade 10 since almost 2017. Mr. Josh, who was actually here with us up until some time back, has always led this trip, and this has been a fabulous trip. So what we do is, this particular trip is great for both beginners and advanced skiers, and we have a ski school who we partner with in Austria, in the Kitzbühel area, who would then partake in making the kids learn how to ski. So even if your child has never been on a ski slope and is interested to do this, this would be a great opportunity. So there would be 3 to 4 days of skiing lesson with the ski school. And in addition to the ski lessons which happen, there are 2 sessions that happen every day for skiing, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. And post that, the kids have other activities that they can indulge in. We have a plethora of activities that they can actually partake in, including quad bikes. We have a swimming experience at a local spa. We have a treasure hunt that we have done in the past, which the kids have loved. We also make them visit to the salt mines in Holland and also see the Zalem Sea. So all in all, it's a great excursion. We use Lufthansa to fly to Munich on this particular trip, and the ski area is approximately 2 hours driving time from Munich. I think this slide is a little bit jumbled, but anyhow, I'll still give you a brief of what South Africa has to offer. South Africa is a part of a history, culture, and arts trip again. We did this trip for the high school this year. So for grade 10s, they had gone on this particular trip this past year in February. We've got amazing feedback, great reviews from what they had experienced. The trip is actually revolving around the life of Nelson Mandela. So we got a historian on board who is with the students for the entire duration of the trip. Starts with a historical city tour of Cape Town, wherein he talks about the life, the early days of the life of Nelson Mandela, which is followed by a visit to the Robben Island. Also, this trip encompasses a visit to the Cape of Good Hope. So we do the entire funicular route, which is one of the most scenic ways, roadways, top 5, I believe, in the world. And they go to the Cape of Good Hope. Along that, they visit the penguin colony, the Boulders Beach, and they also do a sustainability program at the Cheetah Outreach Center to rehabilitate the lowering population of cheetahs in the region. So 6 nights, 7 days, again a great trip. The next couple of trips are, in the Asian subcontinent. Again, these trips have been constant feature for DAA and for other students and other schools of GEMS. The first one is to Krabi. Both the trips, this one, the Krabi one, and I'm going to talk about Philippines on the next slide. Both these trips are for biodiversity students, if they are interested in biodiversity, if they are interested in biology, knowing more about endangered species, knowing more about flora and fauna. So this will be a great opportunity for them to partake in this program. In Krabi particularly, we make them stay in a 5-star accommodation. All the meals are included. We do a lot of coral propagation, we do beach cleanups, we do island explorations, we have a center that does hornbill conservation. We also do deep water solaring experience over here. So it does touch into different aspects of biodiversity, both on land and in water, and the kids do have an amazing time, and we've got some great reviews from last year, not only with the element of education, but also with the island hopping trips that were taken during the course of this journey. Similar to Krabi, the trip to El Nido. El Nido is one of the most scenic islands in Philippines. It's an hour flight from Manila. El Nido is a part of the archipelago of Palawan, and again, the primary emphasis of this particular trip is to accentuate the biodiversity of this region. The students have a total of 4 island hopping trips. This is a little bit different from what Krabi has to offer. Obviously, the variety of species is a little bit different over here than what Krabi has to offer. In this particular region, more impetus has been given to island hopping. So every day over the period of 4 days, the students visit 4 to 5 different islands with a biodiversity expert and a marine biologist, and he's the one who actually leads this particular expedition and makes the student aware of different flora and fauna that exists on each of the islands. Back to the US, Florida. This is a STEM trip for grade 10. Main focus of the trip is to accentuate and to understand the engineering which goes behind the scenes at Orlando, across various parks, across various entertainment centers. The students get an opportunity to see the technology behind the Disney park. They also get an opportunity to look at the sciences, specifically the physics in play and physics in motion at the Disney park. And then they do an exploration of Magic Kingdom. So yes, there is an element of entertainment and fun that the kids will foresee when they are visiting these parks and these entertainment centers. However, there's an immersive education experience as well to understand the science and the engineering that works behind operating these amusement parks. In addition to the engineering program, we also take the students to the Everglades and spend a time within the Everglades region, which is close to Orlando. Okay, let's talk about the university trips now. We've got a total of 3 university trips, out of which all these 3 programs again have been offered to students at DAA over the last 7 to 8 years. The first one is the university trip to the US. This is the West Coast University trip to California. We are covering most of the Ivy Leagues and coveted institutes in California, namely Stanford, USC, UCLA, Berkeley, UCSD, Chapman, Pepperdine, and Loyola. On an average, we cover approximately 2 to 3 universities every day. And this trip is actually split between 2 locations, namely LA and San Diego. Kids have a private campus visit with a private tutor at the university, and all the facets of the university visit are covered during the campus visit. So the students will get an opportunity to see specific schools, learn more about specific programs, be it liberal arts, business, economics, or sciences. Excuse me. Students are also going to be able to visit different housing accommodation options and other programs that the universities have to offer. In addition to visiting the universities, obviously there's some free time and there is some time to explore the cities, which is also included in the programs. So that's USA West Coast, and then you have the USA East Coast. I believe Miss Chelsea was here sometime back. I don't know whether she's here now or not, but yeah, don't see her. She was the one who was chaperoning the USA visit this year around, so she was the one who led that trip from DAA. And we've been doing the USA East Coast for, as I said, the last 5-6 years. We've got a great participation for this particular trip. This one is again split between 2 cities, Boston and New York. In Boston, we cover MIT, Harvard, and Boston University. And then in New York, we cover NYU, we do Columbia, Suffolk, and Northeastern. So again, we're spending around 6 to 7 days on this particular tour. In addition to covering the universities, there are a lot of sites that are covered as well. And in the past, the students have had a great time. Okay, lastly, we have UK. The UK university trip is one of our most revered and coveted trips. It garners the best participation out of all the university trips that we've done in the past. On an average, we have taken, like, in the last few years, we've taken 30+ students every year to trips to the UK for university visits. This is again a 6-night, 7-day trip, and the key universities that we visit are Oxford, Cambridge, Sussex, Southampton, Imperial College, LSE, to name a few. Again, including inclusions in the trip are, in addition to the visits to the university, we see a lot of sites in London. We do see a theatre as well, we do some workshops, and in travel is on direct flights on Emirates. So yeah, I know this is a lot of information, it's quite exhaustive. I was wanting to wrap it up as quickly as possible. I know you guys have been very patient, but this is the only way we could have done it. And I appreciate your patience and thank you for hearing me out. Truly appreciate it.
Last but not least, we have our camps.
Hi everyone. Okay, so I'm going to talk us through 4 different options. We've got Cambodia and Nepal for grade 9, and we have Kenya and Borneo for grade 10. So we're going to go through everything that you need to know. Again, everything is on the website. You guys already have access to it. If you've got any questions, please feel free to get in touch with us and we'll go through those. We've been known since 2002. We started off as Camp Kenya. Since then, we've spread our wings to 4 different continents. We've got a whole range of camps based in different areas, and I'm going to talk you through exactly what's involved in those. We're a social enterprise, we're not a charity, we're not an NGO. What we do is work with the local communities to really impact them and what they need, and what your sons and daughters are going to get involved in, hands-on involved in, to see that real impact when they're working with local communities. We've got lots of accreditations. We've been working with DAA for a very long time. There's loads more information about those on our website. Pretty much everything's included, so all the big things that you would expect. I want to draw your attention to the 2 at the bottom, 24-hour emergency support, both here in the UAE and whilst your sons and daughters are over in country with us, and then reserve locations, so we follow the advice of the FCDO, the Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office, and the UAE government. If for any reason we were advised not to go to these places closer to the departure in February, then of course we're not going to be travelling there. We will pick up the expedition and move it to another one of our locations to ensure that they still have an incredible expedition experience. And then on the other side, we've got things not included. Passport needs to have 6 months date on them from the date they return. Visas, again, down to the nationality on the passport. We can give you the information and then you guys will often get the visa. Vaccinations, we're not medical professionals. There is nothing mandatory for you to go to these countries with us. However, please do seek advice from your local doctor or GP. Every time I travel, I always go on the NHS website, Fit for Travel, do my own research, and then get the information from there to make an informed decision. Travel insurance excess, I will go into travel to and from the airport. We're going to go into that closer to your departure. Spending money to be spent on souvenirs for you guys that you didn't know you wanted, plus additional snacks and drinks and things like that. Definitely some elephant dung paper to bring you back from Kenya if they travel there with us. And then we do provide you with a full kit list as well. All of our projects in our countries are linked to at least 2 or more of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, something that is becoming more and more important as we continue through the next kind of 10 years. So by the 2030, the aim is to achieve as many of these goals as we can. So all of the projects, as I said, are linked to at least 2 or more, which means that your sons and daughters can say that they have physically contributed towards these goals. That can go on things like their CV, their resume, that can go towards interview skills, conversations for job opportunities, and college applications as well. So I'll kind of touch on what they look like. So grade 9, Cambodia, heading over to Southeast Asia. When I travelled, before I worked for Camps International, I travelled for 2 years around Southeast Asia and Australia. I planned to be in Cambodia for 1 month. I stayed for 11. It's an incredible place, steeped in history and lots of opportunity for your sons and daughters to get hands-on involved. The main projects that we focus on in Cambodia are centred around access to food and water security. So a lot of the communities that we work with have to walk for kilometres a day to get access to water that they can use for various things throughout their daily life. What your sons and daughters will get involved in is helping to build huge water storage pots where we dish them out to the local communities, and they get involved in helping to make tiles which are used for the local schools, and also different types of projects that's going to help improve access to their living facilities. And it's going to be hard work, but it is going to be challenging. It is going to be something that they will come home and talk about for a long time. They'll have a lot of opportunity to meet the local students whilst they're there. That is absolutely one of the highlights throughout all of our expeditions, meeting the local school students, learning all about them. You also get involved in permaculture activities. So this is Han, he is one of our camp managers. He's been with us since the beginning. He will be helping your sons and daughters to understand the local communities, how he wants them to become self-sufficient and give them more information about how we can make that happen as a collective. They're also going to have the opportunity to visit the capital city, Phnom Penh, which is, again, steeped in a lot of history, a chance to be a bit of a tourist for the day, go to Apsara dancing shows. They will visit S21, which is the Genocide Museum, a lot of history in Cambodia. So this is definitely something we want the students to understand, because it brings a lot of value as to what the impact is that they will have whilst they do travel with us. So they will visit the local killing fields, have the opportunity to meet some survivors from the Pol Pot regime, the Khmer Rouge, and just understand a lot more and be steeped in the culture of Cambodia, because it is rich with it. So obviously we can't take them to Cambodia and they can't not visit Angkor Wat, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So they'll spend the day wandering around the temples, also seeing how the temples have been reclaimed by the incredible jungle in Cambodia as well. They're going to be staying in our local camps. So these aren't 5-star hotels. These are something completely different on the opposite end of the spectrum. So longhouse style accommodation. We employ local staff in the communities that we work in. So they are employed by us 365 days a year. They will be your son and daughter's family away from home whilst they travel with us. Longhouse style accommodation is basic. This is where we have boys on one side of the camp, girls on the other. They do have their own toilets and showers. Again, this is based around them being challenged, pushed out of their comfort zone, but also learning a different way of life. Hammocks in camp, all of your food is provided, any dietary requirements through any of it, that you just need to pop it on your application form. There'll be the opportunity to play football with the locals, challenge them to a game of football, maybe write a reflective journal, because after the first day they're going to absolutely forget what they've done by the 8th day. So definitely something to do. And then also visit the local markets in Siem Reap, where they can buy souvenirs and bring home for you guys. I'll definitely be wearing those elephant baggy pants. We'll get a group photo of everyone, because no doubt everyone will be purchasing them. So that's grade 9 Cambodia. That is your service-related expedition. We then have an adventure-based expedition, which is Nepal. So students are going to be hopping on the plane with us, popping over to Nepal, and when they get there, they're going to land in Kathmandu, which is hustle and bustle, lots of noise, lots of smells and lots of sounds. Whilst they're there, they're going to be doing different types of activities based around adventure psychology. So this is going to be where we're going to be challenging physically and mentally. They're going to be getting involved in going on a hike, visiting the local community, where they actually get involved in teaching some English skills, helping with some project work, and spending the day with them, which again is the absolute highlight for a lot of our students. Whitewater rafting is on the agenda, so this is where they'll have a safety briefing first thing in the morning. They'll be kitted up, and then they will jump on the whitewater rafting, where they'll start off on kind of easier rapids as they progress their way to more challenging ones. Again, this is where students develop their communication, their teamwork ability as they head down the rapids. I mentioned earlier this is physical, it is absolutely physical. As Miss Chelsea said earlier, please do get your students to think about the itineraries and the different elements. So the hiking is a full day of hiking. This is where they're going to be going through the Kathmandu Valley, looking at the Himalayas in the background, and working as a team, developing that leadership, that communication, to get them through the day of trekking. There's going to be some incredible sights and sounds. There is going to be some cycling as well. One of the days is cycling. It's about 3 to 4 hours. If your sons and daughters have not been on a bike, or it's very rare that they cycle, please do encourage them to do so before they sign up to the Nepal expedition. A mix between hotels and camping whilst they're whitewater rafting. So again, all of the information on the itinerary is on the website. Borneo, this is over in Southeast Asia, focusing again on community service work, but also environmental conservation and lots of different types of wildlife whilst they're there. So they'll be flying into Kota Kinabalu, whipped off to our camp, where again they're going to be focusing on community service work. A lot of the work we do, we have 2 basic modules in Borneo: education and training, so helping to improve access to education, and then of course environmental protection. Borneo unfortunately has one of the highest deforestation rates in the world, which is why we want your sons and daughters to come away with us and get involved in some reforestation efforts, but learn about how bad it is for the local wildlife whilst they're there. So again, lots of different ways they're going to learn how to mix cement, learn how to paint. They'll be basically paired up with our project managers who will teach them all of the ways of doing things locally. I took that picture in Borneo, so I've actually travelled to Borneo. Before I worked for Camps International, I lived in the Borneo jungle for 8 weeks with Camps, and it sold me, and then I came back and basically begged for a job, and 8 years later I'm here. They're going to be heading down the Kinabatangan River on the boat on the way to the project site. Proboscis monkeys will be jumping from tree to tree. When I was in Borneo, students said that they looked like Donald Trump, which we found quite accurate. Sepalok Orangutan Sanctuary, so they're going to be getting the bus from the camp to Sepalok, and then they'll have an internal flight back. whilst they're there, they're going to understand and learn about why the orangutans are actually there in the first place. The main reason is due to deforestation, and that is obviously down to humans. Orangutans are then orphaned, they're taken to Sept Orangutan Sanctuary where they are rehabilitated. The baby ones are learned how to swing from trees, and then they are released back into the wild. One of the coolest things that I found when I was there was that we were there for feeding time, so we will try and get you guys there for feeding time. When we were there, we actually were there walking down, and some of the orangutans are actually on the walkways near you, and you just stand there and watch them go by. It's amazing. And then when it's feeding time, right in the distance, you see the trees move in the jungle, and it's like Jurassic Park, and it's because all of the orangutans that have been released into the wild are on their way back because they remember that it's feeding time. So a really cool opportunity to experience that type of wildlife. And then just across the road is the Sun Bear Sanctuary. Camps International Gap Year volunteers actually helped to build this sanctuary, so it's a really cool way that students can get involved. Again, reforestation efforts whilst they're in the Borneo jungle. They do have the opportunity to sleep in hammocks. It's not mandatory, but it's an incredible experience where we have the team sleeping out under the stars with no light pollution, no sound pollution apart from the noise of the jungle to send them to sleep. So yeah, that's going to be Borneo. You've got your team there as well, very similar to the longhouse style accommodation in Cambodia, very, very similar in Borneo as well. Again, boys on one side of the camp, girls on the other. Camp Bongkut is our flagship camp in Borneo, right at the foothills of Mount Kinabalu, so an incredible view in the morning when you wake up to have breakfast with your team. And again, any dietary, you just need to let us know. Lots of downtime in the evenings, again, to play football, just chill out with your friends and reflect on an incredible achievement over the 8 days. Kenya, last one from me. Over in East Africa, Kenya was our flagship camp since 2002. Most of the project work there, again, is focused around improving access to education. So we work with the local schools in Kenya, helping to either refurbish their schools or build them from scratch. We also get involved in helping to improve local housing for some of the most elderly and vulnerable people in the local community. So your sons and daughters will absolutely come home with some brand new skills that they've learned with us. They'll also get to meet a local women's group who help empower other women in the local community. What they do is get involved in different types of initiatives, and one of those initiatives is taking elephant poo, which is elephant dung, completely free and absolutely everywhere. We turn it into elephant dung paper. Fun fact, when I went to Kenya in 2018, I bought wads and wads of it, and I was like, what am I going to do? And then when I got married, I thought it was a really good idea. So you know when you're at a wedding and it's your name on the place tag? So I put your name on it and it said PTO. People turned it over and it said, I'm made by a women's group in Kenya out of elephant poo. The conversation in the room was so cool. So yeah, elephant dung paper, it helps to alleviate the human-wildlife conflict. We work with local farmers that live inside the national park surrounded by the wildlife. Elephants come tearing through the farmland to look for water. The farmers then want to try and get rid of the elephants. We want to bring value to the elephants, so this is one of the projects. They also, one of the best ones, is they get involved in goat deworming. The first thing they need to do is catch the goats. The second thing students get involved in is helping to administer the medication. So one of the really cool projects, we work with the local farmers. They will also visit a local Maasai tribe, learn about their culture and how it differs from our own, which is a very cool experience. This is a physical element. They'll be going to Marunga Hills, which is just at the back of camp. They'll head up on a hike, so again, this is going to be quite a challenge. When they get halfway up, they stop in a cave for lunch, and then they get to the top and they learn bushcraft survival skills. They'll be learning how to make fire out of elephant poo. They'll be shooting a local bow and arrow, and they'll also be challenged to make shelters. And then, of course, we can't take them to East Africa and not take them on safari. So they will be heading out into Tsavo East National Park, where they might be able to spot the big five and take lots of photos. Camp Tsavo is an incredible camp. Beautiful place. The fire pit at the bottom of camp is really cool. Students will be in, again, boys and girls separated dorms. It is, again, basic style accommodation. I mentioned earlier, this isn't 5-star, and there's a very good reason for that. We want students to develop differently whilst they're learning outside of the classroom, away from their normal luxuries, and this is a really cool way to do it in a very safe environment. So that is going to be Kenya for you guys. So safety and security, all of the transport that we have in every country is either owned or operated by us or vetted by us, provided through a third party, all functioning seatbelts, very well experienced drivers. A lot more information about that on our website. If you've got any questions, let us know. This is our 3-step safety system. So step 1, all of the students from DAA will be travelling with teacher chaperones from the school. They'll also be travelling with a qualified expedition leader from Camps International who hold a minimum of a 16-hour outdoor first aid qualification. They will be with the students at all times. They're going to meet you here in Dubai, they're going to take you to the country that you choose to go to with us, they'll bring you all the way back again. They will be there for safety, logistics, itinerary and first aid, and then teachers are there as pastoral. Step 2, we're never far from a medically approved facility. As I mentioned, we've been doing this for a very long time. We are leaders in ethical school expeditions and we know exactly where to go and when we need to get there. This is where that travel insurance excess that I mentioned right at the beginning comes in. So this is $100. If your son or daughter is in need of medical attention and the treatment comes under $100, they will pay for it. If it goes over, they pay nothing, the insurance kicks in and they will be fully covered. And then step 3, for any necessary medical reason, a student needed to be flown back here to the UAE, that is of course covered under our insurance as well. We've got a full team in the UK, we are also based here in the UAE, so we are on hand to support you through anything you need. As soon as you sign up with us, you get access to the Traveller Gateway, everything will be on there for you. Please do get more information about all of the different trips that we've just been through, and I'm going to leave you with that. Mr. Forbes, we're good to go. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Quite
It's
quickly.
like
I
3
appreciate
minutes
that.
past 8.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So the next couple of slides are obviously important dates to remember, but they are everywhere. They're on the website. They've been communicated on the different platforms that the school has. Sign-ups go live on Friday at 5 p.m. Then obviously close on the 27th. We will communicate by the 1st of October which trips your children are on, and then the first deposit is on the 6th of October. Just quickly, this is a QR code for any questions and maybe feedback for going forward. It is on the website as well if you don't get it now, but if you send questions onto the form here, they will be addressed. I'll answer them starting tomorrow if you're only there. Again, I appreciate you coming out today, and the majority of the providers will be outside for any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.